Part 77. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 766. After preparing the supplies, Song Tao took most of his brothers with special powers, each with a bulletproof vest, a gun with 50 rounds of ammunition, plus grenades and other weapons, and got into their bulletproof vehicle with a sneer. To be honest, his supplies and equipment were not much worse than those at Dongcheng Hospital. He didn't believe that he would suffer a loss this time when he faced them face to face. Wait until he catches the opponent's slippery snake and see how he breaks all the bones of the opponent's snake. And the reason why he was so sure that he had the strength to take down the opponent was because he went to the hospital yesterday to test again and confirmed again that the kidnapping of Bimoli was not done by anyone from the hospital. That's good. As long as he doesn't face that group of people, he is not afraid of anyone in the city. He will make sure they never come back. In this way, Song Tao and others dispatched more vehicles this time than the day before yesterday, a total of 10 vehicles. Each one is a modified car. As for the number of people sent, it was as high as 35. It can be said that the backbone of their 5 major families are all here. Their total number to this day is 97. Nearly 40 of them were old, weak, women and children, and 4 were injured. So there are about 50 people who can fight. Therefore, on this trip, Song Tao worked hard and took away most of the combat power. After commanding Bai Ying to get out of the bank door and window, Song Tao and the others set off. Halfway through the journey, the people sent out to keep an eye on Dongcheng came to report that there was nothing going on at the hospital. Good news came one after another, and soon Ren Hao and the others came to report that there was no ambush outside the school. In this way, Song Tao was further relieved. The team went directly to the elementary school. Their motorcade stopped at the school gate. It was only 6 minutes before the appointed time, but they hadn't seen anyone coming yet. Ren Hao didn't even sense anyone. Where are people? A brother stood on the roof of the car and looked around, but there was no car on the road. Logically, it can't be done. Song Tao took people out of the car to check and found a letter hanging on the school's iron gate. Another letter? When I opened it, I saw that it was indeed addressed to them. You can enter through the back door of the school and trade on the playground, those are the words. They quickly got in the car and headed to the back door of the school. It really is. The back door can be opened. Song Tao pointed out 5 cars to enter and signaled other cars to wait outside to pick up and inspect, and notify them immediately if there was any situation. Afterwards, Song Tao led people into the school and headed towards the playground. On the huge playground grass, they saw a car at a glance. The black off-road vehicle was exactly the one from the day before yesterday. But that car was surrounded by a group of zombies. There were quite a few zombies, and they surrounded the car for several levels. What's the situation? That car came to be traded with them? Otherwise, there is only one car in the entire playground. But the other party only trades with one car? Are you too brave? Are they not afraid of being silenced? Everything is weird. How do you say it? Song Tao asks Yang Ren Hao again. Ren Hao, can't sense it? Song Tao used the walkie-talkie to ask outside again, and was then told that there was nothing going on outside. Look at your watch, it's 12 o'clock in the evening. The appointed time has arrived. Go and have a look. The temporary range of Ren Hao's superpower is only about 100 meters at most. No matter how far away it is. So Song Tao signaled their car to drive slightly closer. Song Tao waited for Ren Hao's reaction. Yes. There are life forms in the car ahead, Ren Hao confirmed. Of course, Song Tao narrowed his eyes. Didn't you see how excited those zombies were? They were so excited that the zombies almost didn't notice their car approaching. And everyone knows that zombies are only interested in living creatures. So there is someone in the car in the middle of the playground. Ren Hao, there's more than one. It seems right, it should be them. Is there any Jasmine in there? Several voices sounded on the intercom. Ren Hao, there is indeed a living body that is very weak. Bai Xiong was anxious. Jasmine said in the letter that she had suffered several injuries. Those monsters must have smelled the bloody smell on her body. Don't act rashly yet. Be careful of fraud. Go check out the two cars first. Song Tao gave the order. Bai Xiong's car approached first. Very annoying. The night was particularly dark tonight, and it was almost impossible to see clearly what was going on in the car ahead. There were so many zombies, all surrounding the car, so crowded that you could only look through the cracks to see what was going on in the car. But after getting closer. Yes. It's Jasmine, he shouted. A black fragrant jacket, a light-colored shirt, wavy long hair and a bow hair accessory. Jasmine seemed to have been knocked unconscious, and she was currently lying on the passenger seat. Although Bai Xiong didn't see anyone else, Song Tao still started giving orders. So what if there are two people hidden in the car seat? There are many people in the car, so if he is allowed to be the king of heaven, it will be a matter of shooting him. 3 vehicles are responsible for attracting zombies to leave, 1 vehicle is responsible for rescue, and the other vehicle is responsible for assisting defense. They brought in a car from outside to help and prevent accidents. The action begins. A group of people got busy. But when they got closer, they realized that the zombies were not easily attracted by them, because the window of the car was open, and the strong smell of blood inside was hanging the zombies. They had no choice but to lure them away, so they had no choice but to deal with them violently. Song Tao dispatched 2 more cars from outside to help. They were afraid that they would accidentally hurt Jasmine if they randomly collided with the zombies surrounding the car, so they finally chose to clean it up manually. Several superpowers all got out of the car and started strangulating with force. Other vehicles helped to cooperate, and the effect was obvious. In less than 7 minutes, they had eliminated 60% of the nearly 100 zombies present. Bai Xiong shot the black car door, and then took Bai Moli out of the car seat. Moli, mo. His tone suddenly rose. He subconsciously wanted to throw the person out. God knows how frightened he was. What he was holding was a killed zombie with protruding eyes and dirty teeth. But he didn't dare to throw it away because he thought about what the other party said about turning Jasmine into a zombie. Could this be Jasmine? So he held the zombie and looked at it for 3 seconds. After confirming that the twisted facial features and stinking body were not his own sister, he threw Jasmine out. Then, Jasmine's hair fell to the ground. Fake. Everyone then realized that this was a zombie deliberately dressed in Bai Moli's image. Looking at the empty car with only 1 corpse in it, they saw the origin of the so-called living creatures. Under the passenger seat, there are 2 chickens. One of them was seriously injured and dying. For a time, several people could not hold back their swear words. Bai Xiong picked up the hair on the ground. This is not a wig. This is Jasmine's hair. He knows. What on earth did those people do to Jasmine? Bai Xiong was also going crazy. Come out here. Come out if you have the ability. It was okay that he didn't shout, but when he shouted, he saw a lot of movement in the school woods. It's really coming out? They originally thought it was someone ambushing the other party, but when they looked at it again, they were all zombies. Then, Bai Xiong was dragged into the car. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 767. A group of people were stunned. What's going on? Don't you want to make a deal? Puzzled and confused as to why the other party was here, Song Tao was about to signal everyone to leave when he heard several loud noises coming from the distance. It sounded like explosion. Look at the sky again. The sky over there is a little red. A bad premonition arises. That direction was the direction of their return trip. could the other party's goal be? Tawaranka has been busy for a long time at this moment. From the beginning, she was teasing Song Tao and the others. Is she stupid? Those people were all murderous devils. She succeeded in deceiving him once because of the value of Bimoli and her brothers. But in this world where life and death can happen in the blink of an eye, daily necessities are more important than anything else, and no one can take the risk of falling into a bottomless pit again and again. She knew from the beginning that blackmail could only be used once. The second time would definitely be fatal. So she had no intention of making a real deal from the beginning. The purpose of luring Song Tao and the others out was just to divert the tiger away from the mountain, so that it would be easier for her to carry out subsequent plans. She had been observing on the way from Fuel Bank to the elementary school, and saw that the other party had dispatched 10 cars in total. She knew that her plan was absolutely correct. The other party is here to kill someone. Judging from the number of people, Song Tao and his main force had already left. According to the information given by Bimoli, there should be less than 20 of them left who can fight. Looking at the momentum of Song Tao's departure, Taoran guessed that they would have fewer superpowers left. Taking advantage of the time, almost 10 minutes after Song Tao and the others left, Taoran also started taking action. The large inner iron door of the bank has been closed, and the outer door has also been lowered. You can't get in easily. This building has 3 floors, and each window is equipped with thick anti-theft windows, so it is impossible for Taoran to climb in through the windows. But no problem. She has been here several times and is well prepared. If you want to get in, you can only ask the other party to open the door. The other party was obviously a little anxious, so 7 or 8 people were arranged on the roof of the building to patrol the surrounding area. Taoran slowly approached in the dark night, until he reached the critical point 100 meters away from the building. She took 2 steps slowly. The people on the roof were not surprised. She knew that Ren Hao should not be there. This is reassuring. After she made a bird call, within a minute, a fire broke out on the first floor 80 meters east of the bank. The people on the roof of the bank were immediately attracted and looked in that direction. The intensity of the fire was either large or small. It's windy tonight, the weather is bad, and the view is bad. They were not sure whether the fire was man-made or an accident. They could only confirm that the fire started on the opposite floor. They were hesitating whether to send 2 people to take a look, when a series of 3 long and 2 short noises came from the building opposite. This voice is the liaison voice agreed upon by their 5 alliances. Since many places in the city are occupied by countless zombies, their team set up a contact code early in the morning that would not easily attract the attention of zombies, so that they can help each other and rescue each other. So, there are people in the building opposite? Could it be that Big Brother and the others came back and were haunted by zombies? But brother, there are so many people there. Maybe someone answered first? Maybe he came back to deliver the letter. Apart from this, they really couldn't think of any other possibility. So they decided to send 2 people to take a sneak peek first. If there is an emergency, they will be ready to respond. A minute later, the large iron door at the back of the bank building was opened with a gap of 20 centimeters. A head and a gun poked out from the crack in the door. After waiting for 2 seconds, a figure flashed out. After observing the surroundings to make sure that no one was okay, he snapped his fingers and motioned for the people behind him to follow. Another figure flashed out of the door and walked out in 2 steps. Just as he was about to close the door, he suddenly felt a chill on the back of his neck. When he raised his eyes, a black shadow flashed above him, and he lost consciousness and fell to the ground. The man who walked out first was about to go down the steps when he heard something wrong behind him. When he turned around, he saw a masked man in black clothes on the roof at the back door. There is an ambush. It was this guy who sneak attacked the brother behind him. Just as he was about to shout, he never expected that the man in black raised his hand and something flew towards him. He tried his best to hide, but several needle-like things still hit his throat. Concealed weapon? There is such a good thing? He couldn't scream, and he didn't even have time to fire a gun to signal his companions. The masked man was already kicking him from mid-air. Then he was met with a dizzying flurry of punches and kicks. He thought he knew a few Sanda moves, but he couldn't survive 5 seconds. His head sank and tilted, and he lost consciousness. Taoran chuckled, thinking that she still had to thank Bai Moli for the information and support she so kindly provided, allowing her to know the contact code of this group of people in advance, and also knew that if they didn't have to go out at night, they would always come in and out through the back door. After just signaling Yan Hui and the others to set fire and giving the other party's contact code, she lay down on the beam of the back door, waiting for the other party to take the initiative to go out. Look, isn't this door open? Otherwise, why did she have the previous blackmail? She deliberately angered Song Tao. No, that guy took away almost all the most powerful superpowers in the team. Therefore, it was easy for Taoran to deal with these two people. The total time before and after was less than 20 seconds. She believed that if she encountered someone with powers of strength or speed, not only would it be impossible for her to deal with them in a short time, but it would also be impossible for her to deal with them with almost no sound during the whole process. Taoran walked in directly. There is a corridor at the entrance, and there are several small rooms next to it, all of which are utility rooms. She threw the two unconscious people inside and closed the door. Go inside. As she guessed, all the old, weak, women and children were resting in the middle of the night. So compared to the rooftop where people were busy patrolling, and the offices on the second and third floors where everyone lived as Bai Moli said, there were only two guys taking a nap at the counter on this floor of the bank lobby, and there was no one else. When Qing Gong was raised, Taoran dodged to the east side without even realizing it. The bank's warehouse is there, which is also the information provided by Bai Moli. She planned to go and have a look. As soon as he stepped into the shadows, there was movement on the stairs. It turned out that the person on the roof sent two accomplices to the next building to check. But 3 minutes have passed, and they haven't seen anyone pass by yet. To be cautious, two more of them came down with walkie-talkies to check. One of them is Bai Ying. The two dozing guys heard the noise and immediately woke up and stood at the stairs. When questioned, they quickly patted their chests and said there was nothing going on the first floor. Bai Ying led people to the back door and saw that the back door was well closed. When I opened the door and took a look, it was quiet outside. It's indeed okay. Will we encounter zombies when we go out? Are they walking in the dark? After all, the visibility is not good tonight, one person asked. Bai Ying nodded, it should be. If something really happened, it was just a matter of shouting. Since there was no movement, it should be fine. At this time, Bai Ying's walkie-talkie became noisy. What a situation. Bai Ying and others' faces instantly darkened. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 768. Bai Ying rushed to the window, but didn't see anything. But the brother on the intercom said that fireworks suddenly went off in the building opposite. Fireworks? What the hell? How many fireworks appeared? Just one cluster. Maybe, it was also an accident, maybe it was caused by a fire. Before the intercom finished speaking, fireworks bloomed again in the night sky across the building. Bai Ying began to feel uneasy. It's not like it was an accident. There seems to be something really wrong with the building opposite. Have you found the two Lao Wu who just passed by that building? He asked. Not found yet. Now, Bai Ying was even more uneasy. He rushed back upstairs with his people. Tao Ran in the dark was in a very good mood, and even wanted to laugh loudly. Yes. Of course, she had people set off these fireworks. Yan Hui and the others were still in the building opposite. They didn't receive her retreat signal, so they knew she had successfully entered the bank, and then started the second step as planned. Everything is going smooth. Do you think she is really going to steal something after putting in so much effort? Never. Maximizing profits, this is her biggest pursuit, that she is always willing to go to great lengths. Come. Tonight, she was going to let them know how to kill someone with a borrowed knife, wait for work, attack in the east and attack in the west, take advantage of the situation, plunder sheep and fish in troubled waters. Yes. The fireworks she set off were the same ones Xuefei had hidden on his body. Such a good thing, a treasure that could make Xuefei's accomplices take the initiative to throw themselves into the trap. Tao Ran had carefully preserved it from the day he captured Xuefei. She knew it would come in handy one day. Because of this, she found the lair of Song Tao and his gang through Bai Moli on the first day she came, but she had no intention of deliberately looking for and taking revenge on Xuefei's accomplices. In a certain sense, Shen Rong's hatred for that group of people was stronger than that of Bai Moli's group. After all, the community opened its arms and let Xuefei's people in. Although it was passive, it was still a blessing in the end. Even if they don't know how to repay kindness, they can't repay kindness with hatred. When Shen Rong was thrown to the ground by the zombies, watching them drive the kind old people and children out of the community indifferently, her despair and pain reached its peak. At that time, she wished that these people in human skin were not as good as zombies. All demons go to hell. Although Shen Rong did not ask Tao Ran for revenge, Tao Ran felt sorry for Shen Rong and her relatives and friends. Virus outbreak, natural selection. Since God can't choose what kind of people should live, then capable people naturally have to help God choose. If you don't like it, just do it. If you feel unhappy, don't hold it in. Tao Ran just wants to clean up the garbage that is inferior to these zombies. At this moment, Yan Hui and the others will light a firework every 2 or 3 minutes to guide Xuefei's companions step by step. In the plot, Xuefei had some scruples, so the fireworks were set off in 2 days. But now Tao Ran is asking Yan Hui and the others one after another, which means there is great urgency. As long as Xuefei's friends see it, they will rush there as quickly as possible. When the time comes, it will be exciting. Tao Ran had been wandering around the city for the past few days and knew that besides Song Tao and the others who were looking for Bai Moli, there was also a group of people looking for Xuefei. Xuefei was not only one of the bosses of that group of people, he also took away a box of weapons that they had exchanged for their blood and lives. They, who have been chased like lost dogs by the people in Dongcheng recently, need this box of weapons and find Xuefei so much. Because they were afraid of being caught by people from the East City, they kept wandering in the western suburbs of the city. Needless to say, what will happen next when they see these fireworks? Therefore, the two groups who killed Shen Rong were forced to fight each other to the death, and she effortlessly managed to make a snipe and clam fight, which was the ultimate goal of Tao Ran's plan. Beg. Of course, she would not miss the opportunity to pick up the slack later while the two parties were trying to kill each other. So now she has entered the bank to see where all the leaks can be found. Tao Ran's plan is well arranged. I hope Xuefei's companions can live up to their expectations. Tao Ran has tried his best to help them. For example, it's not even 12 o'clock yet. If nothing else, Song Tao should have just arrived near the school. It would be at least 40 or 50 minutes before they went around to the playground to play with the zombies, then came back, encountered a blocked road again, and then took a detour. This time is enough for people from anywhere in the city to rush to Fuller Bank first. As long as the speed of Xuefei's gang is not too slow, they will not let down her good intentions. For another example, she could have simply set off a wildfire just now, burning the building opposite and attracting more people from the bank. But she only put the fire on one floor of the building opposite. She was so troublesome because she was afraid that the fire would be too big and Song Tao and the others who were far away in the elementary school would see it and rush back early. Look, the fire is super restrained now and may not be able to burn for long. For example, the reason why Tao Ran kept irritating Song Tao with frontal provocations such as hitting him with a car, sending arrows, cheating, blackmailing, etc. To put it bluntly, half of the reason was because of Shuefei's people. Only by angering Song Tao and the others would they vow to win back the victory, so that all the main team members could be taken away, then she could dare to enter the bank building, and then Shuefei's accomplices could come and fight. Evenly matched. In the plot, Shuefei has only 17 or 18 companions outside. How could this number be Song Tao's opponent? Therefore, only if Song Tao takes away most of the people, can the battle situation not be one-sided. Why? In order to make them kill and kill, Tao Ran worked really hard. Who said she couldn't do it herself? It was impossible for her to challenge Song Tao and the others alone. The brothers and uncles in the community are all honest people. It's okay to let them kill zombies, but it's hard to let them help her cheat. It's definitely not okay to let them follow her to kill people. I'm afraid she will also cause resistance from everyone in the community. So borrowing a hand is still the simplest and feasible way. Even if they can't catch them all in one fell swoop, it's enough to severely injure both groups of people. Of course, the best plan is to kill at least one party. There were only 2 faint candles on the first floor of the bank near the front door counter, so the entire back of the hall was pitch black. Tao Ran Qinggong walked in the corridor, almost as if there was no one around. She quickly found the spare warehouse, and according to what Bai Moli had revealed, this was where the weapons of this group were placed. She tried it, but she couldn't open it without the key. After all, it is a bank area, and the building material is special, so even if it is blasted, it may not open. But it doesn't matter, Tao Ran had known this would happen. On her current trip, she was not here to steal, but to take a route first. She quietly went to the room under the stairs, which was the kitchen and warehouse. This door is now open. It's not locked. As soon as the door was opened and the lighter turned on, the neatly arranged supplies appeared in front of you. It is indeed a wealthy family. Bai Moli was a little conservative last time. The rice, grain, and meat were all piled up into a hill, weighing at least several thousand kilograms. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 769. The best scenario for Tao Ran's plan is to first let Shuefei's people beat up the people in the bank. After a fierce battle between the two sides, she can arrange for the leaks to be picked up while helping to shoot cold arrows. It would be best for Shuefei's people to fight for the chance and kill the bank gang first. Then after Song Tao brings his people back, there will be another battle. Although Song Tao had the numerical advantage, their condition was definitely not good. You must know that they have been cleaning up the zombies in the villa area all day long. If they want to leave the school smoothly later, they will have to go through a round of baptism by the zombies. They must be exhausted when they rush back to their nest. When the men face the fierce Shuefei, the battle will at least not be one-sided. When the time comes, she will continue to fish in troubled waters. If circumstances permit, she will help a group of Shuefei's people to balance the battle situation. If the situation goes wrong, she will stir up trouble and lead her brothers to evacuate in advance. In order to achieve her plan, she had to make a good layout. The two people's walkie-talkies on the first floor were still buzzing from time to time, and Tao Ran could hear Bai Ying's voice. He had obviously sensed that there might be an ambush and that his side might have been diverted away from the mountain, so he was telling everyone not to go out and not to panic. Even if there is a real situation, with the security here at the bank, it will not be difficult to help them hold on until the boss comes back. Taoran chuckled and continued to do her thing. After walking out of the warehouse, she went to the other corridor. Open the backpack, take out the detonator inside, and place it in the corner. A large group was also tied up under the steps of the stairs. But at this time, the guy who had just dozed off in the hall had already started patrolling, and happened to come towards her. Taoran hid in the darkness under the stairs. The man holding a candle passed by, glanced around, and then turned back. But when Taoran saw the gun hanging on his waist when he turned around, he naturally had only one thought at the moment: grab it. She suddenly jumped out, her movements faster than a cheetah's. Before the patrolling person could even turn around, his mouth was already covered, and then his neck felt cold and he lost consciousness. Fainted. It wasn't that Taoran couldn't bear to kill him, but after learning that merit was related to killing evil, she felt that it was better not to kill him directly. Anyway, in her plan, even if she doesn't take action, these people will still die. Gently lowering the man down and dragging him to the shadow under the stairs, Taoran first turned off his walkie-talkie, and then searched him. He actually had 2 guns with more than 50 rounds of ammunition. Ouch, that's a lot. She would not stop doing anything, and in this case, she would not be polite. There was another guy waiting for her to kill him in the front area of the hall. Taoran approached quietly. How else could she be said to be lucky? Fortunately, it wasn't this guy who went near the stairs just now. Otherwise she will be exposed. Because before Taoran could take action, he was discovered by this guy. Only then did she remember that Bimoli had said earlier that the 5 major families had their own bodyguards, and this time there were nearly 10 powerful masters left in the team. I think this is one of them. The man dodged and was already touching the gun. How could Taoran let him succeed? A group of hidden weapons flew out, all aimed at his wrists. The man obviously didn't expect such a move, so he subconsciously drew back and failed to grab the gun. And Taoran's entire set of boxing techniques has arrived. The man rushed up and shouted yes, and Taoran's fist hit his throat in time to stop the word ambush. Unfortunately, Bai Ying and his gang were on the roof and obviously did not hear this short sound. If direct calls are useful, what else do you need a walkie-talkie for? Although this guy had some tricks, he couldn't survive 10 moves in front of a real ancient martial artist. Taoran, who was agile and slippery, subdued him directly to the ground, but he failed to pull out his gun and failed to press the call button on the walkie-talkie. However, their movements still alarmed the people upstairs, and someone asked, "Is everything okay down there?" Taoran lowered his voice and said, "Yeah." Then, Taoran dealt the final blow to the bodyguard. Another crooked one. She dragged the man to the back of the stairs again and collected the guns and bullets from him into the bag. Including the weapons on the 2 people she knocked unconscious first, she obtained a total of 6 guns and more than 200 rounds of ammunition. The 2 of them had gone to the opposite building to investigate before, so they had several grenades with them, but now they were all in Taoran's hands. The bag is a little heavy. Let's do this for now. Taoran carried another ham and returned to the back door, secretly closing the door ajar, then using Qinggong, he sneaked into the dark night. The reason why she was so bold was because all the attention of the people on the roof was now on the building where the fire broke out, while she was walking in the opposite position. Second, she was wearing 2 body armors, so she was not worried at all. Third, she has confidence in her Qinggong and footwork. In order to quickly become a fufu, she has been practicing Tang Yu's family footwork these days. This move is quite weird. Even in the interstellar era, it was difficult to hit with guns, let alone now. With this layer of protection, even if she is discovered, nothing big will happen. A minute later, she returned to her car parked under a building on the south corner. This was the blind spot of the bank building, where the other party could not observe, let alone attack. After unloading all the things, Yan Hui and others came over. They have completed the second phase of their mission. They lit 5 fireworks in total, and now everything is ready. All they need is Shuefei's people. There was only the last firework left in Chaoran's hand, but it was not the one he was using now. Anyway, they had already set off the fire. Even if there were no fireworks, they were not worried at all that Shuefei's people would not be able to find them. 2 minutes later, a bird chirped from the building behind him. The person they arranged has been hidden there for a long time. This signal told them, coming. Shuefei's companions are almost here. The third phase of the operation has begun. Yan Hui and the others hid themselves again, while Chaoran plunged into the night again. It should be said that Song Tao's men mainly concentrated on the roof of the building to keep watch. They did stand high and could see far, and it was easier to hit the target. But they failed to consider that if someone could use extraordinary skills and cover of night to move close to the wall of their building like Chaoran did now, then they above would be easily darkened by the light. Chaoran was not polite. When the war was about to break out, he secretly placed a detonator under their corner. After completing most of the circle with ease, she came to a car parked at the entrance of the alley on the corner by the bank gate and closed her eyes. Her 5 senses were sensitive, and she soon heard the sound of approaching cars. When she calculated that the new convoy was approaching the building where the fire was burning, she lit the last firework at hand. A wisp of bright yellow flowers bloomed in the night sky, and the motorcade that was about to stop downstairs on the east side came to the bank without hesitation. Then, Chaoran took out the detonator, tied it to the car in front of him, and set it on fire. This was a familiar car, but she had prepared it carefully. There is a fan title activity in the comment area. Interested babies can participate. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 770. There was a loud boom. Completely pointed out the way. Shuefei's teammates immediately judged that the place where the fireworks had just been set off should be the place where the explosion came from. A convoy of 6 cars is coming here quickly. Soon, they saw the smoking car that had just been bombed. That car. Can they recognize it? That car was exactly what they were looking for every day throughout the city. This is Shuefei's modified car. The license plate is familiar to them. The modifications to the front of the car were done by them themselves. The confetti from the fireworks were still left on the ground beside the car. They also saw discarded detonators on the ground. They were far away and couldn't see clearly, but they had to guess, could these be the detonators in the trunk of the boss's car? From the direction and position of the front of the car, they immediately locked onto the unusual bank building 100 meters away. There were several superpowers among them, and they immediately felt that someone was staring at them from the top of the building. What else don't you understand? The boss must have been caught by someone in this building. They took out guns and grenades, ready to attack at any time. Yang Sanqiang, the current leader among them, made a gesture and prepared to take the following cars to check the exploding car. Sure enough, as soon as their car moved 2 meters forward, they were shouted at. Several bullets hit the ground in front of their car, forcing their car to stop. On the roof of the bank, someone asked them who they were and told them to get out quickly, otherwise they would be disrespectful. Yang Sanqiang asked about his eldest brother, but the person on the roof naturally didn't know. Yang Sanqiang pointed to the car 100 meters away and asked where the owner of the car was. The man on the roof turned around again. Don't know? How can it be? Their boss burned 6 signals and blew up the detonator. How could it be possible if it wasn't an urgent matter? Although he was holding back his hatred, Yang Sanqiang decided to lead a group of people to attack and first check the condition of the smoking car. On the roof, Bai Yinggang had already seen the fireworks suddenly going off and being exploded downstairs, and knew that the team might have been targeted. At this moment, I saw that the person who came was trying to use a broken car that was found on the roadside 100 meters away as a cover. After some hesitation, I finally resisted shooting. It's past 12 o'clock, and the boss will be back soon. Instead of provoking a fight, they should suppress their emotions and wait for the main force of the team to return. By then, no matter who this gang is, they will catch them all in one fell swoop. So, Yang Sanqiang and his people came to the car without encountering any obstacles. Then several people became furious. The boss Xuefei was not seen in the car, but the driver's seat was covered in blood. Apart from a trail of blood on the ground, there was also their boss's shoes. And the direction of the blood stains is exactly this bank building. Something happened to the boss. Sure enough, he was taken away. Was taken into the building. The blood is not dry yet. The boss must have tried his best to notify the brothers. In the back seat of the car, their two brothers were lying dead, their bodies charred black. In the trunk, there was only an empty wooden box. The number on the box told them that this was the treasure they had been looking for several days and paid a heavy price for. But the things inside are no longer there. Robbed? Oh shit. It turned out to be these people from the bank. Otherwise, the boss alone can't use 10 guns. Are eggplants easy to pinch when they are soft? Yang Sanqiang immediately shouted to the building 100 meters away, "Hand over our boss. Hand over our supplies. Otherwise we will level this place." Upstairs, Bai Ying emphasized again that they didn't know the boss or supplies. However, before Bai Ying could finish his words, he suddenly saw something thrown out of the bank building. Then the thing fell straight between their two cars. Yang Sanqiang reacted quickly. Before he could say lie down, there was a boom. The rear and front of the car behind him were blown up. One brother was injured and howling. Yang Sanqiang was also blown to pieces and could only move to the rear car quickly. Grenade. Yang Sanqiang was furious. This group of people kidnapped their boss and took away their team's weapons. Before he could even settle the score with them, they actually dared to take action first. "Brothers, don't be polite, let's go," Yang Sanqiang gave the order. They were desperate desperados. They were chased by people from the east of the city for several days, waiting to find Xuefei. After getting their weapons back, they were proud. Unexpectedly, someone came and pooped on their heads. Why? Damn it! Instead of being beaten passively, it is better to fight for it. These people in the bank actually have grenades. How can you stay in a bank without coming out? It shows that they have plenty of supplies. Then just knock this place down. Take back your weapons and avenge your brothers. Land is king. Yang Sanqiang began to command the capture of this building. The grenade just now was naturally thrown by Tao Ran. She was afraid that the two groups had their own concerns and would not be able to fight easily, so she helped. Help add fuel to the flames and speed up the progress of the battle. After igniting the detonator on Xuefei's car, she entered the bank through the back door again. And after she threw the grenade, the idiots on the roof thought that it was the two companions on the first floor who did it. For this reason, I even cursed fiercely on the intercom. Tao Ran found it funny. Of course she couldn't take sides. Since Yang Sanqiang has just been blown up once, now, naturally he has to blow it up on the other side. So Tao Ran detonated another detonator on the outer wall of the bank. With a bang, the wall trembled. Bai Ying and others panicked. They didn't know it was a detonator that exploded, and they thought the angry opponent also threw grenades at them. How does this work? Must guard against it? You must use fierce attacks to block the opponent's advance. Bai Ying directed everyone to start shooting down below, and tried his best to control the opponent 50 meters away from the bank. So, a big battle came as promised. The two sides finally started fighting seriously. At this moment, Ran was still waiting in the darkness at the bottom of the stairs. Wait for two opportunities. The first one, haha, she has to show everyone what it means to be a successful frame-up. The people who used grenades to frame the bank and the people who used detonators to frame Shwefei were just low-level frame UPS. What she really wanted to wait for was not this. What she is waiting for is the big boss behind. At this moment, she could feel the sudden brightness outside due to conflicts under the stairs. In the originally quiet night, there was such a sudden movement. No one in this city couldn't sense it, right? So, what about Dongcheng? As the most powerful force in the city, how could they not be attracted to it? The reason why Song Tao and the others had to move was because Fuller Bank was located close to the city, relatively close to the east of the city, and they were also afraid of being targeted by people from the east city. So Chao Ran thought, as long as the movement was big enough and people in Dongcheng were alerted, at least they would come to watch, right? Even just out of curiosity? If you wait and see. Can they not discover these S-coded detonators? These detonators were stolen by Shwefei's people from their hospital staff. So when they saw the detonator, I wonder if there would be a surge of hatred in their hearts. The people who stole their weapons are fighting privately. Do they want to take revenge? Do you want to come and take the weapon back? Do you want to come over for a final summary? If it's Chao Ran, definitely. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 771. The scene that Chao Ranyi most wanted to see in the entire plan was when the fight between the two sides reaches a certain level, someone from the hospital will come to clean up the mess and be the last aureole. So Chao Ran had to drag the people from Dongcheng into the battle. It was precisely because of this plan that Chao Ran brought out all those detonators this time. Putting a bunch in the east and tying a bunch in the west can not only secretly help a group of Shwefei's accomplices who are in a disadvantaged situation, but also ensure that people from Dongcheng Hospital can find out with a little careful exploration. So is that car? Since the people in Dongcheng had a fierce battle with Shwefei, how could they not recognize him? Chao Ran had already given them guidance and helped them lock in their goals. As long as there are people from Dongcheng Hospital to put an end to the situation, these two groups of evil forces will be uprooted. The evil forces that harmed Shenrong and everyone in the community were eliminated. As for whether the old and weak people on the second and third floors will be expelled or taken away, Chao Ran has no control over them. After all, the elderly and weak in the community in the plot have a worse fate. Cultivation is up to everyone. If they are as capable as Bimoli, they will naturally be able to survive in troubled times. At that time, Chao Ran's only task was to protect his family and friends, and the difficulty suddenly dropped. As for the second opportunity she was waiting for, Chao Ran smiled when she heard the sound coming from upstairs. She has been waiting for it. It's already busy upstairs. The sudden battle put a strain on the weapons and equipment on the roof. So Bai Ying called someone to come down and open the warehouse to get weapons. There are still too few people he can use. There were only a dozen of them left in combat, and Chao Ran had to deal with 4 of them. So after he woke up a few people who were resting from the duty station on the second floor, only 13 people could use the roof. The number of people is not as good as those attacking below. Although there are advantages to being condescending, they were still in a hurry due to lack of preparation for battle. And Yang Sanqiang and the others also saw the weak position in the bank building. The bullets were sparse and the power was insufficient, so he simply gritted his teeth and told his brothers not to worry about the weapons they had saved, and increased the firepower for a strong attack. Bai Ying led his men to shoot, and the bullet bottomed out. He used the walkie-talkie to call the 2 people on patrol on the first floor, but received no response. He had no choice but to ask his brothers to work harder, took out the warehouse key, and assigned 3 brothers to go downstairs to carry the weapons. Little did he know, Taoran was just waiting for them to open the door for her. When the 3 people rushed downstairs, she watched from the dark. The spare warehouse that required a key was opened, and soon they packed up a large box of weapons. 2 of them worked together and hurriedly carried it upstairs. Taoran did not take action. She had to give them something to look forward to so that they could enjoy the excitement for a while longer. This way, it would be easier for her to get things, wouldn't it? Therefore, her goal was to stay at the back and be responsible for opening and locking the door. She took a bag, packed 30 grenades and put it on her shoulder, turning her back on the guy who started to lock the door. Now she has almost no taboos in taking action. Because this building is full of gunshots inside and outside, it's too noisy. Now even if someone shouts loudly that there is a thief, no one will hear him. So, Taoran said hello to him in a good mood, and then put him down. The key was in hand, and the weapons in the warehouse were finally in front of her. She was also prepared. She spread out a duffel bag and collected all the sniper rifles on the shelf, as well as 300 rounds of the same type of bullets in the box. She gathered the other miscellaneous things together, and then slipped out of the back door where Yang Sanqiang and the others had not discovered them. Yan Hui, who had a special speed, was already responding, and the 2 of them cooperated to carry the weapons to the car quickly. Taoran went in and out 3 times and basically emptied the weapons cache, taking away 100 kilograms of meat. She had to stop. The contents of the walkie-talkie she seized revealed that people upstairs had become suspicious after discovering that companions on the first floor kept losing contact. Therefore, after arranging 5 people to attack the lower part with grenades, Bai Ying had already led several people and was rushing downstairs. Taoran was already very satisfied. She prepares to evacuate. But before evacuating, the row of detonators under the stairs was ignited by her in one breath. This time, there was a louder bang than before, and a full floor of the staircase was blown away. This internal explosion finally made Bai Ying and the others fully realize that their home might have been broken into long ago. But it's too late. This was a whole row of detonators. It was so powerful that it made the whole building tremble several times. It also caused a chain reaction of detonators placed everywhere by Taoran, and they were detonated almost at the same time. The entire first floor was blown into pieces. The glass collapsed, the wood was ashes, and only the load-bearing columns and anti-theft facilities were still intact. Taoran escaped quickly and was naturally intact. Their car had been started in advance, and as soon as it exploded, it carried her all the way south. The routes are all planned in advance. The bank building faces south, and the north gate is the main gate, which is the battle point she arranged for the 2 parties. The east side is the direction Song Tao and the others left, and it is also probably the direction the people from the hospital came from. Shuefei's people came from the west, so their cars were parked there. Therefore, the south side closest to the back door is precisely the safest direction. When Taoran looked back, he saw that a fire had broken out on the first floor of the bank building, and the walls had been damaged a lot. If this is the case, and Shuefei's accomplices still can't break in and clean up the mess, then we can only say that they are too useless. She tried her best. Now she is still busy. The car they were in was priceless at this moment. She had to escort the car to the west of the city first. There, she had arranged for someone to pick her up, and Qin Guang and others would escort the weapons and supplies back to the community. As for Taoran, we will change trains there and turn towards the East Elementary School. The fire had just started, and it was not easy for Yang Sanqiang and the others to break in, so she went to help buy time for Song Tao and the others to come back later. For example, create some traffic conditions on the main road to make it difficult for them to pass easily. For example, use zombies to cause some trouble. Another example, she went to cause trouble halfway? With this in mind, when he arrived at the west side of the city, Chaoran gave a few instructions, grabbed a sniper, and set off and jumped into a car. Thanks to her military school life during interstellar travel, she is an accurate sniper. Let's go out and have some fun. The string of fire that Song Tao and others saw and the loud noise that Song Tao and others heard on the primary school playground turned out to be from the string of detonators detonated by Chaoran. They were initially confused and suddenly panicked. It was difficult for them not to guess that the trouble occurred in their own home. They increasingly suspected that the other party was heading towards their camp from the beginning. Such a loud movement was obviously a gunpowder explosion. To be honest, the first object of their suspicion is still the Dongcheng group. Although there are many people who have enemies with them because of supplies these days, they really can't think of anyone who is so courageous and capable. The uneasy Song Tao signaled everyone to get in the car and prepare to go home. Thanks to Wenhaha, for resetting the rewards from the Lai Huo babies. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 772. Song Tao was filled with anger. The playground was empty just now. After that idiot Bai Xiong grabbed Bai Moli's hair and yelled out of control, not only did he attract dense zombies in the nearby woods, but also the only back road where their convoy could drive out. I don't know when, but waves of monsters emerged from where. If there were 1 or 2 or 10 or 20, they could still drive down them, but how could there be hundreds of them at once? The road is blocked. In the dark night, looking around, I saw a group of zombies with no visible heads. Of course this was also a gift from Chaoran. She had been looking for a place to design these guys 2 days ago. She chose this elementary school only after conducting a field trip. Since the elementary school has sufficient fences, the people around it must have done some cleaning and imprisoned many of the zombies wandering nearby into the school. Chaoran gave appropriate guidance in advance and lured most of the zombies around the playground. Tonight, she also came early to make arrangements. After checking Bai Moli's car and parked it in the middle of the playground, she took the car with Xuefei tied up and guided it appropriately, dividing the school's zombies into 2 parts, leading half to the grove and the other half to the opposite side of the playground. A basketball court blocked by a high fence. The fence on the basketball court facing the playground had been tampered with by Chaoran earlier. Zombies are basically in a state of unconscious wandering when there is no living thing to attract them. Apart from walking around or spinning in place, they don't move much. But after Song Tao's motorcade arrived, the originally aimless zombies were suddenly aroused. Within a few minutes, all the zombies in the basketball court were attracted, and then they lay on the fence and screamed and bit at the other side. From a dozen, to dozens, to hundreds, 2 to 300, they rush forward excitedly, surge forward, push forward. Even if they don't exert their strength, the weight of so many zombies is still very high. Same as usual. The connection of the fence had been loosened by Chaoran, so when Song Tao and the others were busy rescuing White Jasmine on the opposite side, the entire fence of the basketball court had gone from crumbling to crashing to the ground. The torches lit by Song Tao and others gave the zombies very clear guidance. 2 to 300 excited zombies rushed out of the basketball court and went straight to the opposite playground full of delicious food. Song Tao and others did not notice it immediately. First, they were busy rescuing him. Second, with no lights and poor moonlight, the field of vision was really poor. Third, Ren Hao's sensing ability was only 100 meters, and the distance from the center of the playground to the basketball court had already exceeded 100 meters. Rice. So when they were about to return home, they discovered that there was a dark area ahead. By this time, it was already too late. Since they were noisy, screaming and yelling, the zombies came quite quickly. They originally wanted to evacuate from the other side of the playground, but when they drove over, they discovered that the road ahead was blocked by dozens of boulders. If I had to get out of the car and clean up, it would take at least 7 or 8 minutes. But it only takes a minute at most for the zombies to come over. So they only have one way to turn back. At this moment, no matter how stupid they are, they know that they have been played by others from the beginning. From the beginning, the so-called white jasmine was just a bait. The feeling of hatred permeated the air, making everyone swear that when they caught whoever had done it, they would cut each other into pieces. Especially those brothers, they are more determined to avenge Jasmine. Song Tao and his gang are going crazy. It's too dangerous to get out of the car to clean up, and it's too expensive to use guns to deal with zombies. All they can do is to use cars to lure these zombies to one place, and then try to open a way out. But the zombies in the woods also arrived. It was not easy to leave quickly. The 10 cars were busy for a full quarter of an hour before they managed to break out of the encirclement. But the more anxious you are, the worse it will be. Originally, I wanted to rush back as fast as possible in a very fast pace. But the main road, which was open and smooth when arriving, was blocked at some point. Baxian, who was driving at the front, was going too fast. He hit a tree trunk and realized he couldn't go. He called to turn back, but when he turned around, he found a large number of zombies pouring out from behind. Everyone broke out in sweat, knowing that someone was setting them up to delay time so that they could not return home in time for rescue. But so what if you know? It can only make their hatred worse. Finally, he broke out of the zombie horde behind him and took a detour. Unexpectedly, something happened again. Ren Hao said no, but before he could say yes, the first car in their convoy suddenly lost control and started spinning on the spot. It turned out that something hit the wheel of the first car. As a result, the second car, which was traveling at a high speed, had already hit him. 2 cars collided. With a bang, the first car spun and hit a telephone pole on the side of the road. The front of the car was smoking and it was useless. The second car drove directly up the curb and hit the building. All 8 people in the 2 vehicles suffered varying degrees of injuries. The car behind suddenly stopped. When he realized that the wheel might have been hit by a bullet, Tao Ran's sniper had already fired a shot at the wheel of the third and fourth car. Ren Hao finally sensed where Tao Ran was. There. There. We're there, his finger clicked, moved again, and changed direction. At every click of his finger, all of them would fire dozens of crackling shots. Unfortunately, every time they followed the instructions, their shots were just a little bit off. In short, they all missed. It's just that the other party acted like a ghost, they almost didn't see the person, they just relied on their feelings. The feeling of suffocation worsened. Their anger surged wildly, and they couldn't bear to beat Tao Ran on the roof where he might appear. Tao Ran was deliberately irritating their nerves. The angrier they became, the less scrupulous they were about taking action later, and the more they suppressed their hatred and wanted revenge. It would be best if they go up to the top, even people from the hospital, that would be exciting. It was Song Tao who was awake enough to stop them in time to prevent them from wasting bullets. He knew that the highlight was definitely not here. Gotta keep the bullets at home. This person may have appeared just to waste their bullets. Something big happened at home. Ren Hao was very depressed. Suddenly he couldn't sense it anymore. That person is probably gone. After carefully checking the car, everyone found that all the first 4 cars had punctured tires and could not move. Either change the tire, or abandon the car and squeeze in. Not having much time to change the tires, they chose to abandon the car. Song Tao, who got off the third car, was very angry. He directed everyone to move the contents of the trunk of his car to the sixth car, and transferred the injured brother to other cars. As he glanced around, he guessed that the person hadn't left yet. "Friend, stop hiding, why don't you show your face? Let's talk. Everything is easy to discuss." Song Tao stood on the road with his arms crossed. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 773. Song Tao stood in the middle of the road with a sincere look on his face. Tao Ran sighed secretly. Of course she didn't leave. She was just 100 meters away. With a sniper rifle in hand, she could clearly see every move of the opponent through the sight. So don't be afraid if you are far away. Song Tao, come out and I can grant you any request. I need talents in my team. Tao Ran didn't know what Song Tao was thinking. This guy didn't want to negotiate. He just wanted to capture her and then use his ability to see through people's psychology. He was probably almost confused, anxious to find out who did all this, who instigated it, the ultimate purpose, and how many backup men there were. Tao Ran would only go out if he was stupid. But since he was so generous and stood in the middle of the road, Tao Ran was not polite and simply aimed his sniper at him, preparing to give him a peanut. The cold gun was released quickly. Tao Ran's position also received intensive counterattacks from the opponent's bullets. Of course, those people couldn't hit her. But Tao Ran didn't expect that she didn't hit Song Tao either. He avoided it. But she took aim. Tao Ran is very confident in his sniper skills. Was it an accident? It's almost impossible. Unless Song Tao predicted her shot in advance. I wonder if his superpower is not as simple as Bimoli said, or maybe he has awakened another level of superpower. Tao Ran was sour, and it was so frustrating to compare people to each other. This Song Tao is not easy to deal with. Song Tao had already dodged into the car and left a gnashing sentence, "If you can't kill me today, I will cut you into pieces next time." Tao Ran chuckled. Was your sister scared? Let's wait until he finds the conductor behind the scenes. Watching Song Tao's motorcade leave in the distance, Tao Ran appeared at the same place. The group of people moved in a hurry, and she saw clearly that the contents of the third car were moved to the sixth black jeep. She walked leisurely towards the bank. In the direction where Song Tao and the others left, there was another roadblock. So not only will she not be pulled away, I'm afraid she can arrive before them. When he returned to the bank, the situation was completely different as Tao Ran expected. After all, Yang Sanqiang's side had the numerical advantage, but after being breached from the inside, Bai Ying's side became the weaker side trapped on the roof. Before we even reached the place, we could already hear the incessant sounds of gunfire. Tao Ran went to the building to the south. Yan Hui and the others have returned and have been helping her observe. 5 minutes ago, Xue Fei's accomplices had already entered. The bank is almost certain to lose. No one from Chengdong Hospital has come yet. It's all good news. As long as the people from the east of the city haven't arrived yet. Then Tao Ran can still try to pick up the fish that slipped through the net. A minute later, Song Tao and the others finally arrived. They never expected that when they went out, their home would be turned into a hornet's nest riddled with holes. No wonder they were chasing and intercepting them all the way. They were trying to trouble their own nest. But I want to see who is so cruel and courageous. This group of vengeful guys finally went crazy. Even though they were exhausted, they still rushed into the building with weapons as fast as possible. Tao Ran was not interested in what would happen next in that building. All her attention was on the car of Song Tao's team. She just wanted to know the location of the original sixth car, the black jeep. Sure enough, Song Tao's people almost all rushed into the building, except for the people in this car. After the two people got out of the car, 2 people were left behind. Instead of entering the building, they reversed and turned around, leaving the convoy and turning into a shadow. Tao Ran was not polite and rushed directly to the car. At this time, the bank building could only hear a series of intensive gunshots. It can be said that Song Tao's men didn't say anything, they were crisp and fast, attacking quickly and with full energy. With this momentum and number of people, it would be difficult for Shuefei and his gang to break out of the encirclement. Tao Ran's eyes narrowed. Ah! The two parties cooperated happily in the plot, so I hope they can have fun fighting each other this time. Tit for retaliation, in the plot they occupied the supplies of Shenrong's community, this time, naturally it has to be the other way around. Tao Ran went directly towards the black jeep in the shadow. 3 minutes later, in the background of a fierce battle in the bank building, Tao Ran defeated the two of them, directly seized control of the car, and successfully got into the driver's seat. Song Tao's men noticed it and were about to stop him when Tao Ran stretched out his hand and said in a low voice, "Take my grenade." When they saw someone flying out of the car window, those people immediately fell down. But after waiting for 5 seconds, there was no explosion. Looking again, what the other party threw out was just a walkie-talkie in the car. Tao Ran left his wild laughter in the wind and ran away as soon as he stepped on the accelerator. She won't waste even one grenade. Ah! She drove the car directly into the underground garage from last time, where Yan Hui's car was already waiting. The two leisurely opened the trunk door of the black jeep, opened the box inside, and then couldn't help laughing. Another box of weapons is back. This was the second round of ransom offered by Tao Ran, using Bai Jasmine as bait. After all, Song Tao and the others were there to redeem people. Although they had made other plans, pretense was necessary. So they will definitely bring weapons. Although Tao Ran had no intention of making a deal with them from the beginning to the end, she regarded the ransom as her own from the beginning to the end. How could you forget this? The other party had 10 cars, and she had no way of knowing which car they put the ransom money in. It was impossible to look for each car. So when she blocked the road, she knocked down 4 cars. If something is in those 4 cars, they will definitely be moved. If they weren't there, then Tao Ran's target would only be 6 other vehicles. Then she can only find a way to find it when the opponent is fighting fiercely. However, luck is as good as ever. Sure enough, the weapon would most likely only be in the car where Song Tao was. It's good now. No matter how capable Song Tao and the others are, they still have to vomit blood this time. Bai Ying's group had been holding on to the bank for a long time, and their weapons must have been exhausted. And Song Tao's warehouse had long been emptied, and Tao Ran had consumed a lot of their bullets along the way. So even if they go into battle now, their weapons and equipment cannot keep up. Tisk tisk. It's unclear where this chaotic war will lead in the end. Tao Ran, Yan Hui and the others quickly moved their weapons and hid far away. After entering the West City area, they found a high place to observe. It soon became apparent that the bank location was even busier. The sound of people, the sound of guns and the sound of explosions are intertwined. I'm afraid it's the Dongchen gang who are coming. And Tao Ran's plan probably succeeded. After watching it for only a few minutes, they left. Anyway, from the beginning to the end, no one knew of their existence, and it was even less likely that anyone would know that the rich materials and equipment of the bank group were basically in their hands. After dawn, they are still good little people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 774. After Tao Ran and the others left, several more explosions occurred in the direction of the bank, followed by a raging fire. This fire was much bigger than the previous two. Later, the sporadic gunfire continued for almost half an hour. Tao Ran did not wait and see, not knowing the final casualties. In short, she can be sure that the two groups of evil forces that harmed Shenrong and the others must no longer exist. At that time, Tao Ran and the others were busy counting the loot. This time, they got 4 sniper rifles and 300 rounds of matching bullets. 6 ordinary pistols were seized for the first time, 10 were seized from the weapons warehouse, 5 were recovered as ransom, and 3 were seized from the 2 men in the black jeep, making a total of 24. There are more than 1,000 bullets. In addition, there are a total of 50 grenades in terms of weapons. And their contribution was nothing more than all the detonators in Sci-Fi's box. Those detonators belonged to the group of people at the hospital, and they were already hot to use, but this time they were disposed of, which made them cleaner. In addition, they also got a lot of food. The ham that Taoran carried out for the first time was the largest one in the warehouse, weighing 50 kilograms. In addition to the 100 kilograms of meat brought out by the 3 in and out, as well as the 100 kilograms of meat and 300 kilograms of grain as ransom, this food was enough for them to eat for 2 more months. Several friends were all smiling. But Taoran added, "It's very possible that there's more to it than that." The next day, Taoran and the others did not dare to approach the bank rashly. Although Grandpa Fang's clairvoyance couldn't see the bank building due to the obstruction of the building, he could clearly see vehicles entering and exiting nearby. Safety comes first. Taoran didn't want to run into those people in Dongcheng. It would be best if they never met until they died. Another day passed, and the scene finally subsided. People from Dongcheng would only pass by the bank from time to time. It wasn't until another 3 days passed that Taoran appeared there. The bank building was in ruins. Detonators and grenades were used to blast the building first, followed by fire. Now this dilapidated building has lost any of its original appearance. Taoran frowned as he got closer. Those people at Dongcheng Hospital are really not good. There are a lot of zombies wandering around here. Taoran looked over and saw several familiar faces. For example, that Bai Xiong has now become a zombie and is wandering ahead. There was a hole in his chest, and he had obviously been shot to death. Most of the zombies around were killed after the confrontation that night. The virus ravaging the world not only affects the living, but also the recently deceased. Once infected, they will soon turn into zombies. Therefore, everyone has a consensus that they will try to cremate or bury the recently deceased people around them to reduce the number of zombies. In fact, the fire that night was already so big that throwing the dead guys into the fire was just a piece of cake. But obviously, the people in Dongcheng didn't care that there would be a bunch of vicious zombies in the city. Taoran looked around. It was a pity that she did not find Song Tao's body or zombies. Did he run away? That guy is so powerful that he can't die easily. After entering the ruins, Taoran raised his eyebrows. The room where the food was stored under the stairs, which was mostly destroyed, was already scorched black, and the food inside had been bombed and burned. The people in Dongcheng probably didn't get any benefits. However, as she wished, if there was anything left intact in this ruins, it was the first floor, which was the warehouse originally built by the bank. How can a bank warehouse half as thick as a palm be easily opened? What detonators and grenades can shake it? This is probably the safest place in the entire city. Taoran stopped in front of the spare warehouse, and there were many marks on the door. Obviously, the people from Dongcheng have worked hard. It's a pity, she held her pants pocket, and she had the key. Afterwards, Taoran went back. It wasn't until the next night that she secretly returned to this area at night. She used Qing Kung Fu to enter the ruins without anyone noticing, and opened the door to the spare warehouse. Although the weapons originally stored inside had been taken away by her long ago. But this doesn't prove that there's nothing else inside, right? That night, after moving in and out after moving the weapons, Taoran was in trouble because the transportation was too dangerous. What to do with the supplies in that grain warehouse? Keep. In a chaotic war, when supplies are in short supply, is it too wasteful? At that time, either someone will get an advantage, or it will be reduced to ashes. No matter what, it is not good. So Taoran decided at that time that since it was not easy to move, He might as well lock some of the valuable food nearby into the already empty weapons warehouse. If you are lucky, the warehouse can be preserved, and you can pick it up later. There was a small cart used to transport food in the room under the stairs. At that time, Taoran made 2 short-distance transports, transferring almost all the meat and easily accessible vitamins from Songtao and the others. The reason why we only transported meat was based on consideration. Most of the meat is air-dried, and 1 pound is worth at least 3 pounds. It fills you up and adds protein, which is more cost-effective than rice and noodles. So at this moment, what was in front of Taoran was a meter-high pile of various meats and dried abalone, ginseng, wings, and tripe. After loading up the car, she locked the warehouse again, and returned to the community with peace of mind. Based on the current population of the community and the sustainable plan that has been started, she believes that everyone will have no problem sustaining it for 3 years. And with the current weapons and equipment, even if they are attacked by outsiders, they should have no problem holding on to their homeland. The days returned to their previous comfortable state. As a large amount of supplies were obtained again, which greatly enriched everyone's dining table, Taoran's commanding position in the community became more and more consolidated. Everyone trusted her and implicitly accepted her as the leader. The constant gunfire and bloodshed that night scared everyone in the community, so when Taoran asked everyone to try not to go out for the next period of time, they got a unanimous response. Not hearing what was going on outside the window, everyone lived equally comfortably. The passage from the community to the kindergarten has been completely built, the vegetable garden project has been started, and a large number of flower beds in the community have been converted into sheds. The grandparents started to work on the vegetable plots with great interest. Densely large trees have been transplanted into the community, and there are green corridors everywhere. The large lush green area can well cover up everyone's activities, and also helps to block out the noise of life, making the hot daytime less uncomfortable. The underground garage was remodeled and divided into gathering areas, living areas, and practice areas. After a few days, everyone got used to it. The garage is spacious, so it won't be too hot during the day. At night, you can light a few bonfires to keep warm and chat without any worries. The ants can sing and dance square dances at will. The elders can also light up the fire to fight with the landlord. Taoran also set up a ring in the underground garage, and everyone is welcome to come on stage to compete, or challenge her or Xuefei to a one-on-one challenge. If you win, you will be rewarded. If you lose, you will be punished with physical training. The zombies outside and the peace and tranquility in the community are separated by a wall, but they are like 2 different worlds. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 775. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, Taoran has been in this world for more than 2 months. Life in the community is as usual. There is enough food and water, and vegetables are growing. They also planted potatoes, peppers, and even low-maintenance wolfberries. Their planting area has not only extended to the kindergarten, but also covered the entire area near the landscape lake. This lake was dug manually, and under their deliberate guidance, it just happened to store water on rainy days and irrigate it on weekdays. In order to reduce the evaporation of high-temperature water vapor, large trees were planted around the lake. Tree-lined and excellent environment. Well, there are also fish in the lake. There is a river on the other side of the construction site next door. Taoran took Sister Gao, who had telepathic powers, to try to catch fish. He also wanted to see if Sister Gao had improved after practicing her spiritual power. The results are gratifying. Sister Gao is right as soon as she senses it. Every time the net goes down, nothing comes up empty. But after all, his mental strength was weak, so his superpower only lasted for 10 minutes. But even so, with the help of Sister Gao, they also caught a lot of fish. Although these fish look alive and kicking, they should not be contaminated. But Taoran and the others still put the fish in fish tanks after taking them back. After 2 weeks, they made sure that the fish were still healthy and had no abnormalities before they released these small fish into the lake. Soon, they will have fish to eat too. The original peach, plum, osmanthus, persimmon, fig, and orange trees in the kindergarten have all been retended. According to the grandparents' plan, everyone will be able to eat at least 1 bite of fruit every day. The hens in the pen are also very successful, and it is gratifying that in the past 2 months, when everyone has rich dishes and does not care about eating eggs and chicken, they have finally hatched 2 batches of chicks. There is plenty of space, and there is no shortage of manpower. Everyone has built a chicken coop, and they are all waiting for the day when they will be able to eat more eggs and chicken after large-scale breeding. The days of eating in a big pot are quite happy. For ordinary people, there is no way to conquer and change the world, they can only try to protect their own world. Everyone knows that this is the best life nowadays. A comfortable life can easily make people lazy, but Taoran's presence will never let them slack off. It is not like the community has never experienced visits from outsiders. For example, in the middle of the night last week, a team of nearly 10 people built a ladder after luring away the zombies outside the community gate, and came into the community to grab supplies with machetes and watermelon knives. Thanks to the multiple layers of protection that had been put in place in the community, they entered the gate and met another group of zombies. While they were being restrained, the patrol team in the community quickly pulled up another layer of iron gates and warned them to leave, but they were rejected and intimidated. This gang of villains kills without blinking an eye and treats humans and zombies alike. One of them, who had the power of speed, increased his speed instantly. He was in front of him in the blink of an eye, passed through the iron gate with his hands, and slashed at an uncle with a machete. Fortunately, Uncle Lee, who had special powers, was able to hold the knife with his bare hands, and the uncle's head was just a hair away. But the man didn't stop, and slashed at Uncle Lee again. Uncle Lee barely managed to escape, and his anger surged up. He grabbed the man's hand and dragged him hard. The man's forehead hit the iron door and fell to the ground with blood on his forehead. But the other group of people neither left nor were frightened. Instead, they felt that the community's defense made them certain that there were abundant supplies here. They began to climb over the wall again and vowed to demolish the community. The patrol team finally stopped showing mercy and took out iron rods and other weapons to fight with the group of people. Those people were extremely ruthless, and every stab was a deadly blow, going straight to the vital point. They were clearly habitual criminals who committed murder and swindled goods. And the physical fitness and martial arts skills of everyone in the community these days are not in vain. Everyone is not knocked down by a push, and because they have had many similar emergency trainings, they immediately perform their duties in a decent manner. When the bird signal sounded, people in the community rushed to respond. Only when the intruders were surrounded did they realize that there were so many living people living in this community. They were quickly injured after being beaten by a group. There were sticks in front of them and zombies behind them. In the end, they were killed by the zombies. In fact, Taoran had been alarmed for a long time. She sat on a tree, drew her bow but never fired the arrow. She hopes that everyone can become active and that more people can see the power of the weak and the strong in the outside world. They don't have to take the initiative to attack, but they must not be soft when faced with attacks, otherwise they will harm their own people. The effect is there. Things like this happened to the supplies team several times when they went out. Gradually, everyone became more vigilant and less compassionate. After returning to the community, they practiced martial arts hard to protect everyone, and their sense of responsibility became stronger. Taoran personally helped formulate the intensive training for the superpowers. For example, Yan Hui improved his 100-meter running time by 1 second. Now that Taoran has not yet mastered his internal strength, if he didn't use Qing Kung Fu, he wouldn't be able to catch up with him. So she has been giving Yan Hui light lessons recently, hoping that he can quickly become a bolt of lightning. For example, Qin Guang and others, after taking up strength training, their explosive power and endurance have improved, and they have reached the level where they can break boulders with one fist and perform on the streets. Tao Ran worked hard to teach them martial arts, hoping that they would become the pillars of everyone. After Uncle Zhang of the Golden Bell practiced internal energy, his whole person improved completely. Once his internal energy was transferred, he didn't even feel the stick hitting his physical body. If he continued like this, it shouldn't take long to become invulnerable. Sister Gao Fei, who can sense supernatural powers, Sister Tian Tian, who can predict the weather, and Brother Xiaoming, who has a photographic memory, all began to develop their mental powers. Gao Fei can sense for longer periods of time, Tian Tian can occasionally predict a certain moment at a certain time, and Xiaoming's brain is comparable to a small mobile phone with powerful storage capabilities. Everyone has made progress. For most of the people who didn't have superpowers, Tao Ran urged them to do physical training and practice martial arts every day. There was an uncle who knew simple carpentry and helped Tao Ran make many bows and arrows. Tao Ran takes the boys to practice archery every day. Grandpa Fang, the clairvoyant, was very interesting. He volunteered to practice archery with him. Tao Ran was afraid that he would be tired, but he said that not only did he want to practice archery, he would also practice sniping later. As long as his hands don't shake, he will be the first person to protect the park. The effect is gratifying. The old man has a good mentality, is in good health, has good eyesight, and has a very high chance of hitting the bullseye. There were also things that made Tao Ran depressed. Probably because many people's physical fitness has improved a lot since they started exercising and practicing martial arts, 3 more people in the community have awakened their powers. Tao Ran, on the other hand, feels his body every day. Unfortunately, nothing. She is still a normal person. Even if she is an ordinary person, she can still run ahead through her own efforts.